Hi, my name is Nuke, and I'm a professional artist, and I want to talk about this new cover for Tiger Star and Sasha. It is just a recolor of the original black and white comic, but it is a new cover. I wanted to talk about this cover as someone who specializes in character design and commission artwork, and it's not an attempt to defame the original artist because I'm sure that they're very talented. However, this cover itself is disappointing, and I wanted to speak about it. So, starting with the cats, first of all, it is very obvious to me that Tiger Star has been used with a symmetry tool, which the symmetry tool itself is not a problem. However, when you are doing a cover artwork or a commission piece, it is considered pretty unprofessional to use the symmetry tool unless that is something that the client specifically requested. I also would like to point out the unevenness of Sasha's face. This eye is significantly bigger than this eye, which would be fine and would be correct anatomy if this eye wasn't just a swapped version of this eye. As you can see, they are about the exact eye, and this one has just been made smaller. Also, as far as I know, Sasha's entire breed is wrong. Her breed was a fire point, if I'm not mistaken, but this just is kind of a very bland looking cat to me, and is not reminiscent of her original artwork. She also is extremely flat. There's no fluff shown anywhere, which she is a short hair cat. However, even when drawing short hair cats, it is good to show like some fluff like this, just to give it some depth and some like light to the drawing, because this way she just kind of looks smooth. She looks very smooth and shiny, and it looks strange to me. Another thing I would like to point out is Tiger Star's anatomy. So with cats, fluff makes them look huge, and assuming that he would be an unfixed male, his face would have these big cheeks. However, his neck is very wide, which would be fine if there was any fluff shown and he just had a very large like fluffy chest, but there isn't, so it just makes his neck looks extremely wide. Another thing is that Tiger Star is very clearly a fluffy cat, right? But there is a completely smooth outline for him, and his tail is not fluffy whatsoever, which is very disappointing considering that one of Tiger Star's biggest things is that he's a fluffy cat. So if I had done this, I would have given him some ear fluff, I would have given him some nice fluff to his cheeks, a big like mane almost, and really bring out like those Maine Coon qualities, because he's very clearly like some kind of Maine Coon mix, right? But he just doesn't look anything intimidating. He doesn't look intimidating. He looks like a very messed up cat. Another thing I would like to point out is Sasha has this nice cell shading. If we're ignoring the very weird shadow going on with the foot right here that makes her foot look concave. So if we're ignoring that part, then Sasha's shading is very nice. It's cell shading. Tiger Star has no shading whatsoever, which is strange because it is completely incoherent. When you shade a drawing, you don't want to just shade one of the characters and then leave another one flat, because like I said, it's very incoherent and adds a lot of misinformation about the depth of the drawing. Like, there's some lighting on Tiger Star right there, and there's some on Sasha, but since they're so flat, it just serves to make them look shiny and doesn't actually serve to shade anything. When I do lighting on fluffy creatures, I typically do it in little lines like this, so it actually gives some depth to the fur. One more thing I wanted to point out about the cats was Sasha's tail is connected at a very weird spot, and it almost looks like it's coming out of her you-know-what. So if I were to redo this anatomy a little bit, I would definitely connect it a bit higher so that her tail is actually in the correct place, because otherwise it looks like it is coming out of her bumhole, so to speak. So moving on from the cats, these leaves right here are interesting to me, because there are about 1, 2, 3, 4. There are about 4 different types of leaves throughout the entire front part of this thing. So if you look closely, there isn't any actual depth. It is just the same leaves repeated over and over again with some minimal shading. There isn't any actual shading on the leaves because it's hard to tell what is shading and what is the outline of the leaves that is found in nature. With these leaves back here as well, there is no depth, which is, again, very incoherent. There is a complete lack of shading once again. This is something that can be done with a clipping mask and a blur effect. And these leaves back here feel very odd. They feel more like trees to me. So if you're going for like ferns, then make them look like ferns, make them come out like this instead of just having them all over the place in any which way. Another thing about the background is this cutoff right here on either side makes it look very unnatural. And if I were to do this, first of all, make these the same plants and have them come around and round out to the sides where they look more coherent and more like a natural environment. To me, also, the sky is very boring. I can kind of excuse that because that's where the warrior cat symbol is. But to me, I mean, it wouldn't be hard to just add some stars or like a moon and it would look nice. And overall, just the background and the composition is very annoying. And another thing about the composition is extremely boring. It is just a center composition. Speaking of centers, the cats are not centered. The cats are not centered. Also, the text is not centered. The text is not centered at all. So, to me, this entire cover is just extremely unprofessionally done. And I have no ill will towards the artist at all. I have none. Because to me, they got their bag and they ran. I'm happy for them that they got paid for this. However, I just think it is extremely unwise to release something that looks this bad with this many noticeable issues and to me, what does that say about the rest of the quality of the book? Because I've heard a lot of mixed opinions about the book, but the biggest opinion that I've heard is that it doesn't look good. So, I mean, if it looks bad, then at the very least, make a good looking cover. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about this cover. Again, no ill will towards the artist, a bit of ill will towards the Aaron Hunters, and to me it's just unfortunate because I've been sort of following the series since I was a kid, so it's just hard for me to see it go down to such a poor quality. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.